Simple will. Trust types. Will with a testamentary trust and living trust. First, simple will. A simple will is a simple and short document that states to whom you want your assets to go in the event of your death and who you trust to execute on those wishes. For example, a simple will might be summarized as I want all my assets to go to my husband, and if he is not living, then equally to my adult children outright, meaning right to them immediately. My husband will be my personal representative or executor, and if he is not living, my sister will be my personal representative. A simple will is attractive to some clients because it is simple and works well to govern distribution of your assets. It does not avoid probate, but probate may not be as bad as you think. Probate is the legal process of administering the estate of a deceased person. In a probate, your executor will file papers with a court to receive letters testamentary, giving him or her the powers to execute on your wishes, like access bank accounts and make the distributions you've written into your will. Probate does not result in additional taxes, and if you have everything jointly titled with your spouse, then probate would only take place when you are both gone. Next, let's move on to trust. Like a will, a trust states to whom you want your assets to go in the event of your death and who you trust to handle that distribution. A trust, however, is a longer and more complex document and allows you to provide for the following additional benefits. 1. Strings attached. You may wish to place conditions on the gift or slow down its distribution. For example, a trust might be summarized as I want all my assets to go to my husband and then equally for the benefit of my children. But I do not want my children to receive the money all at once. I want it held in trust and for my trustee to determine when and how much to distribute to my children and for what purposes. These are the type of terms you can put into a trust, but not a simple will. Another is creditor protection for your beneficiaries. While your assets are held in trust for your loved ones after your death, if you have named an independent trustee, then your beneficiaries' creditors cannot get paid from trust assets, and the trust principal may be more likely considered separate rather than marital asset if your beneficiary gets divorced. Avoiding probate. One type of trust, a living trust, has the additional advantage of avoiding probate if you have it fully funded at the time of your death. We create your living trust now, you transfer your assets into it, and then, at the time of your death, your successor trustee will not need to open a probate to gain access to your assets to follow your wishes. But then again, many see this as the disadvantage of living trusts that you'll need to retitle assets into the trust during your lifetime. For example, you may need to make a trip to the bank to change title on your accounts to the name of your trust. Now that you know something about trusts, there are two kinds of trusts to choose from: will with a testamentary trust or a living trust. Either can include these strings attached and creditor protection for your beneficiaries we talked about, but only a living trust has the additional benefit of avoiding probate. And keep in mind that a disadvantage of any trust is that it causes some administration and cost during the years after your death when your assets are held in the trust. To recap, you have three options: a simple will, a will with a testamentary trust, and a living trust. A simple will is nice and simple, short, and works well to govern how your assets will be distributed. It does not allow slow distribution of your assets, creditor protection for your beneficiaries, nor does it avoid probate. A will with a testamentary trust is a will with a trust inside that comes to life only after your death. It can provide slow distribution of your assets and creditor protection for your beneficiaries, but it will not avoid probate either. Lastly, a living trust is a bit more complex, but can provide slow distribution of your assets, creditor protection for your beneficiaries, and avoids probate only if you've done the homework to transfer all your assets into it at the time of your death. All three work well to govern how your assets are distributed. Contact your Smith firm and agency representative today.